Sister, that was your aunt.
Daisy and Elsie. She did have a sister, Gladys, who died young in childbirth.
Gladys died when Jack was born?
Yes. And she was, my mother adored her. She was the next to youngest.
That's who Jack's named after, right? Jenny's Jack is named after that Jack? That's
He's named after Jack, Rich Cousin Jack.
Rich Cousin Jack and Rich Uncle Jack.
Hello again.
You know anything about Sidney's parents?
Yes, I used to play cards with my Grandma Ethel. I think I met Samuel, but I only saw him a few times and he died.
It was Samuel also?
Yeah.
Another Samuel?
Everybody was Samuel.
Well, and his last name was Levenberg? Samuel Levenberg?
Levenberg, yeah.
Where did they come from? Samuel and Ethel. Did they come from, were they in
Russia?
They were from Russia?
Yeah,
Both of them?
Bialystock, which was floating between Poland and Russia. It was changing ownership.
But they both did. They came here as teenagers or as, do you know?
I think they must have been adults when they came.
So Samuel and Ethel, were they married in Russia when they came or they met here?
I think they must have been married in Russia or Poland. Bialystock.
Did Sidney have brothers and sisters?
Sidney?
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice, who was an artist.
Well, what do you mean by school?
And Rose, who was what we call a Mashugana. Don't you put it down.
I'll cross that out.
Her children are dead. Nobody would know anyway. But I wouldn't do that to poor Rose.
So a lot of girls.
I used to go to her house, not house. She finally took a one-room. My grandfather's house, don't bother with this, became apartments. And strangely enough, Rose took the top floor room. And I used to go over into what was now like not a boarding house, but a funny little house, still on Madison Avenue. I used to go up and I used to open the bottom drawer of her dresser to see if she had enough underwear. And I'd come over and I'd bring her underwear.
That was to Ethel? That was to
Rose.
Ethel. That was to Rose's house.
Rose. Oh, boy. I was with her daughter when she died. Ruth was about my age. She was a diabetic.
What was her last? What was Rose's last name?
Nelson.
And how about Beatrice?
She was a sister of Beatrice.
What was Beatrice's last name?
Levy, as a married name.
And did they stay married? What was her husband's name?
Benjamin. Lovely man. They were fine, but Rose was really bananas.
And who was Rose married to? Who was Rose married to?
George.
George Nelson?
I have a picture of a clown downstairs, and I swear it's George. It was one of the first paintings I did. I'm sure it's George.
Really?
Yeah.
So Rose and George had Ruth, just one girl? Rose and George had one girl, Ruth?
And Eddie. Edward. He was discharged from the army as a psychoneurotic. He failed. He was doing night guard duty, and he went bananas.
And of course they have a road.
What's your problem, lady?
So he was Edward Nelson.
What do you got there? Camera?
So did Beatrice have any children? Did Beatrice have any children?
Two very interesting daughters. One was the dancer with the Humphrey Weidman group.
What was her name?
Joan.
Joan. You don't know her last name.
And Mimmi was a teacher at the Little Red Schoolhouse.
Is that right?
Sidney, Beatrice, and Rose were brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very smart businessman, but he died at 35 of tuberculosis. Well, he left when I was 9. Somewhere between my 9th and 10th year, he died. And he gave me 2 little books
she good?
which I
Is she
have
good
inside,
photographer?
which are way beyond my capacity to understand.
Yes, really show. Oh,
No, my daddy said to me, come here, he said, I'm 8 years old,
fun visiting when that's going
and he's
on.
coughing his brains out. And he said to me, now when I go away, I want you to take care of your mother, take care of your sister, take care of Aunt B and the children, look after Rose and the children, take care of everybody. I remember going down to Pennsylvania Station and waving goodbye to him.